know anymore.
Okay, so there you go. So, Lukas, very nice to meet you, dude.
Very nice to meet you too.
Are
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You are originally from Stuttgart.
That's true.
Okay,
Yeah,
born and raised.
that's right.
Okay, but you went to school in America, or was that just an exchange program?
That was an exchange program, 1 year. Yeah.
Where was that?
It was in Vermont, up north, New England.
Okay,
Close
it's
to the
supposed to be
Canadian
beautiful
border.
out there, right?
It is really beautiful. I'm not sure if I appreciated it completely when I was 17, but I went back there 2 years ago and I really re-appreciated it.
Okay.
It's really beautiful. Yeah, it was a really nice year as well.
And what sort of did you do, like specific art subjects at school, for example? Did you know that you wanted to go into car design, or?
Yeah, probably subconsciously somehow. I mean, it's this classic story. I've been drawing for a long time. I've been into cars for a long time. I don't know if that's trying to figure out where that came from, but I've been fascinated by cars for a long time. And when I was like maybe 15, I started drawing cars. Didn't know there was such a thing as car design, and then
Even growing up in Stuttgart, you were not aware of it.
Well, I probably knew that there was this discipline, but I didn't really think about it at the time. And you just start off drawing, and because you like it, and it gets more and more serious.
Right. And are you like a quote unquote petrol head?
I wouldn't call myself that, but I'm definitely interested in cars. Let's put it that way. So I try to distance myself from that as well, always. But over the time, you get more and more into the whole topic, of course, obviously. And you build up kind of a library. And when I was like 15, I was a super petrol head, but after that it kind of went down. I got interested in other things. But yeah, I can't help it, but I'm still kind of passionate about cars.
But art has always been there, like from day one sort of thing.
Right. Yeah, I think that's more coming from the arts direction than from the cars direction, I would say.
Okay.
I have lots of architects in my family. So this is kind of where it comes from, I guess. But yeah, so it's always been rather art first and then cars.
Okay. And like, at what, do you remember like at what point you kind of made the decision to pursue car design?
Not really. I kind of slid into it, I guess. When I always left it open. I mean, I got really interested in it, and I found out there is such a thing as car design to be studied in Pforzheim, for example, which is really close. And my dad took me to a degree show there once, and that's, I guess, where the spark really.
Okay, where you see all the models.
Right, exactly. The models, the posters, the hand sketches, and you're so amazed by everything. I mean, when I found out that these models were actually made by the students, and they're all painted and nicely covered and whatever. Then that was really amazing and revelation in a way. But after that, I left it open because I was still at school, so there was still a couple of years before I had to make any decision. And I left it open to myself whether I found something that interests me more, because I would say I'm quite interested in lots of things. And yeah, after school and after my civilian service, which I had to do at the time, which is 1 year, like mandatory, that you do either in military or at like a social.
Is that still today? Or?
No, not anymore. But I feel old now.
Well, you sound old. You're definitely not old. I mean, when did they? I thought they stopped that in the 90s, or no?
No, actually not. Well, I came out of high school in 2008.
Okay.
So, and I think at that time it was 9 months at least. If you did it abroad, which I chose to do, then you had to do it for 12 months.
Okay.
I think they abolished it like 2 years after that. But I'm not mad. I think I had a great time, and it was actually good for my.
Yeah, sorry, I cut you off there. What did you get out of that experience?
Well, first of all, I think it's always good to have a break after long periods of whatever. So I think to me it was nice to just do something else and not having to worry about what it would be. So it was pretty clear that I had to do it, because if you don't have like a physical, I don't know, disabilities, then you needed to do it at the time. And I couldn't show any, fortunately. So I had to do it, and I knew that I was going to do it. And I thought, okay, let's make the best out of it. Let's make the most out of it, and you can do it abroad. And I wanted to go somewhere in Europe, and I ended up in Italy, in Milan, at a nice school and kindergarten and everything. And I learned the language, at least for that time.
Oh, wow.
And of course made lots of other experiences. And first time living on my own, or with actually two other Germans. That was nice. That was
and you just helping out in the kindergarten?
Exactly, yeah, anywhere.
Wow,
like,
that's pretty cool.
It was, and it's super nice learning a language with kids.
Yeah.
Because they don't care how well you speak the language.
Yeah,
and it's really easy to.
I'm experiencing it in Germany now.
Yeah.
I've got 2 young kids, and
Right.
I'm at the Spielplatz, and these kids are like firing all sorts of stuff at me. I still can't speak German, and I'm like trying to formulate sentences based on like Afrikaans and what I think sounds right, and then they're like, "Gosh, verstehen Sie?" And it's like, yeah, but
How
it's
old are
but
they?
huh?
How old
My
are they?
kids, I've got 5 and 2, so
Fair enough.
Yeah,
A 5-year-old is
yeah.
gonna keep you busy.
yeah.
Nice. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
gonna teach you.
Yeah, well, my daughter, we like my wife's Polish, so she speaks fluent Polish, and she speaks English as well because I speak English to her. And then we threw her into kindergarten in 3 months. At that age, it took that amount of time for her just to pick up the language.
Right. Yeah, it's fast. I mean, I did some Italian course. First 3 months, I think.
Okay.
I was there for 1 year, as I said, and after that, it was just the kids. Kept me going,
Wow.
improving. So
Mega.
yeah, I mean, unfortunately, of course, you lose lots of vocabulary over time. But yeah, it's been an amazing experience, and from there, actually, I sent my first portfolio to Pforzheim.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have an idea? Like, did you speak to other students at Pforzheim where you wanted? Did you know what you needed to put in the portfolio?
Yeah, it was different at that time. Because there was no Instagram and there was no real social network. Facebook was on the rise, I remember. But it was hard to find out what they actually were searching for in the portfolios in Pforzheim. And there was this one platform, I think it still exists, it's called Pre-core. It's for German design
I think so, yeah.
schools. I
Okay.
think. There were some applications, you can basically upload your portfolio there if it's getting accepted, that other guys know, okay, what does it look like if you get accepted. That helped me out a lot, actually, because you get a sense of, okay, what kind of level is acceptable. And then, yes, I texted, there was some other early social network in Germany called StudiVZ. Some Germans might remember it. It's basically
know about that?
It's basically a cheap version of Facebook. It's not existing anymore.
Okay.
And via that, I tried to contact some first-time students and try to get some feedback as well.
Okay. And
that
they were generally pretty forthcoming, yeah?
I don't remember, to be honest, but
Okay.
there must have been some, because
Okay.
I drew like every evening and try to sketch different things, different techniques and stuff. And at some point I said, okay, stop, because of course there's always a deadline as well. And I just went over it and tried to collect a nice portfolio, send it off. And actually that was nice, it got accepted right away.
Wow. And were they all just hand sketches?
That was only hand sketches, yeah. There weren't even really cars in there, I think. There was, I don't know, 1 or 2 pages of cars. I had a little model car, like 18th scale, Alpha, which I drew from different perspectives. But yeah, I had already read that it's not so important to have cars in your portfolio, because they're more searching for somebody, or for the skill of being able to describe a form via sketches.
Okay.
And now I understand what they meant, but when you're in that stage, you're like, what does it mean? And okay, I just drew I don't know, screwdriver or stuff like that, snowboard bindings, stuff like that. So.
Cool, like more producty stuff.
Yeah, but also I think portraits, stuff like that. So I try to have a big bandwidth, let's say, large bandwidth, to make sure that everybody's happy, kind of.
And is it true that you also have to do I heard something about like a sketch interview. Is that right?
Yeah, that comes afterwards, and that's actually the main part of the whole application process. In
Okay,
Pforzheim.
so the initial yes is just a foot in the door. You've been given an interview.
Yeah,
right?
that's the easier part, I would say.
Okay.
Because of course in a portfolio you can just put in your nicest sketches that might have been accidents, kind of. But at this kind of drawing test, then you really get there and you have 4 to 5 hours, I think, of different tasks, like in a final exam somehow, that you need to fulfill, and that's an immense pressure because you have to nail it. And I didn't.
What, you didn't? No.
No, first time I screwed up.
Wow.
I failed.
And how did you feel?
Bad. I felt terrible, of course. But the thing was, I already knew that I had totally blown it, because you get in a hurry, then you start to smudge, and because I chose the wrong paper, and I noticed that when I was there, too soft pencil, I forgot to sharpen it, and then you get like in a hurry, and it's just pain. I mean, drawing under pressure is terrible. It's always bad to be creative under pressure.
Yeah. Fuck. And then do you get a second chance, or do you have to go through the whole application again?
You do get a second chance. You even get a third chance, but you have to wait 6 months always in between. And that's, of course, in that time is kind of crucial, because you want to go there, you want to study. But the good thing about at least Pforzheim is that you have to do, I think you still have to do a 6-month pre-internship before you get there. It's kind of about model building, or like you can do it at a carpenter or something to learn how to saw wood and to get, I guess, get a feeling for the crafts, which probably is a good addition. How
easy it is to get one of those pre-internships?
I think it depends on where you want to do them, and how lucky you are, as always. Okay. I was really lucky, actually. I got a spot. I applied at a Mercedes AMG at the time, which is also really close to Stuttgart, and it's relatively small. It was even smaller at that time, and I knew that a little design studio, and I applied there.
Wow.
Really naively. I said, "Hey, can I do an internship? I mean, you don't have to pay me anything."
Yeah.
Basically, and they couldn't, because it was 2009, so it was still in the financial crisis. And they said, "Yeah, we're sorry, we can only give you, I think it was 130 euros per month." Which didn't even cover my driving costs.
Of course.
But I was so excited. And of course I kept living with my parents then, and drove there. But it was super exciting, of course.
I can imagine.
Yeah, and I just applied for that and went there, even though I didn't have the guarantee to study at Pforzheim then, because I had to wait. So while I was doing this pre-internship, I did my second round of application in Pforzheim, and that time it was a little bit more relaxed, and in the test I already felt that it was going well.
But you also then exposed to professional designers that can say to you, listen, this is what you should be focusing on. I mean, did you get any influence from the colleagues that you might have been working with at the time?
You mean at AMG?
Yes, yeah.
No, not really, because I mean, they knew I was preparing for that, and they helped me out whenever they could, but at the same time it's two different things, I would say. This test, you have to nail particular tasks that you train
what,
for.
For example, what sort of things do they ask you to do?
There's some classics. I don't know if they're still valid, but I guess it hasn't changed too much. There are these classics like draw an elk out of your memory. Like a moose, an elk.
Oh, an elk. Okay.
Which is really different from a horse with horns, let's say.
Right. Okay. And you did a horse with horns for the first time, right?
No, I think that wasn't the problem.
Okay.
There were some other tasks that I struggled more with. I know, for example, they put some stuff into the middle of the room, like a pile of like a still life, basically. Basically, but large items like wood, chunks of wood, and the motorbike was there. So also technical stuff.
Okay.
And also maybe a skeleton or something, like more classic stuff. And then you have to capture a scene from different perspectives.
And it's also as much about leaving stuff out as what it is.
Absolutely, yeah. Time management is crucial in that test, because you're really under pressure. You want to nail it, and there's not really enough time for a second chance. So if you realize, oh, fuck, I'm not going anywhere here, you can maybe redo it once, but then you really have to nail it.
How long is it? How long is like one sitting, for example?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't remember that.
Roughly like half an hour? Or?
Yeah, something like that. It's like 45 minutes maybe,
but
with different perspectives or something.
Okay.
And then there's this other bigger part where you have to imagine a whole scene that involves cars and humans and maybe buildings. So perspective, and for example, I had to draw a bus terminal.
Okay.
So, and with there was
With people.
specific, of course with people, but also specific stuff like there had to be bicycles in there.
Wow.
So people pushing bicycles around to get them in bus and stuff. So you have to make up a really alive scene of some place.
But you couldn't necessarily have prepared for that, even though you've been through the test before, because it changes.
It does change. I mean, but like these chapters always stay similar. So what you can do and what other students have done is just practice these kind of themes, or not themes, but scenes. Like, I don't know, let's say the car dealership is also like, could be a classic, or a car show has been.
Okay.
So it's always something like a scene involved with cars. That stuff you can practice. And then you get more and more confident.
Right. Okay.
But at the same time, of course, you're practicing the stuff that's relevant. You're practicing how to put a car into perspective. You come up with creative ideas, let's say, because you have to make up all this scene. So yeah, it teaches you while you're practicing, which is the goal, I guess.
Did you say you said there's architecture in your family? Is that something like one of your parents are architects, or? Okay, so they were obviously able to help you with that sort of thing, or not?
Not really. I mean, I mean, of course, I've probably gotten the whole, like, lots of aesthetical input over the years, definitely, and you can harvest that. Like, looking back at it, you see how much you've probably been influenced. But other than that, not really. I mean, they didn't sit down with me or something.
Okay, so your dad didn't say, Lucas, I'm going to show you how to put a car into the scene.
Not at all. I mean, he would never say he's an expert in car design.
Okay.
He's a good sketcher.
No, but I was talking about the perspective, like with the bus terminal, for example, the buildings.
I don't even think I practiced that too much at home before that. But no, he wouldn't have dared.
No.
He's not this type of dad.
Okay.
He would have said, do your thing, have fun,
and we'll support you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's
They would always support me, but they would never say that they're like into cars or car design. So.
Okay, mega.
Yeah.
So then you finally get in, and your experience there, like as a whole, was positive?
In Pforzheim, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, looking back at it is always easy, and it's always fun and games. But no, definitely. I mean, studying should be fun. It's extremely hard, that for sure, and it's lots and lots of work, as you can imagine. But at the same time, of course, it's fun. It's really fun driven and it's passion driven. Otherwise, you would never make it, and you would never make it through this time, because demands are high, the stakes are high, competition is tough.
Would you say that that's the thing that, because there's a certain level that comes out of that school, and would you say that that's down to the system or down to the competition and what you are pushing yourself? I've asked that fucking terribly, but
no, I know it. I totally know what you mean. It's hard to entangle that. Well, you definitely learn the most from the competition, or like the exchange, the positive competition with your friends and colleagues there. Absolutely, because they don't really teach you a lot specifically. What they do teach you is all the infrastructure, let's say, and how to set up a time management, because they just give you deadlines and stuff.
Infrastructure like with regards to the whole business, or with regards to managing a creative task?
Yes, the latter. Managing your creative task, managing a project from briefing to finished product, because you have deadlines within the semester and at the end. And sooner or later you'll find out that you have to get going at some point, and you will have to like hold yourself accountable also. And that's where you learn a lot. And then you see your mates all the time, and you see how much they're doing, and you feel bad, and that's how you learn to be responsible for your work, I guess. And
you've obviously an exterior designer. Was this something that was very much the goal while you were there? Were you adamant that that's what you wanted to do?
No, I've never been in any way, I think, committed to this has to be the goal for me, and I'm not going to do anything else. I've always been broadly interested and other things, and because I just don't know what I don't know yet. So I've always been open for things that I haven't tried yet. So for example, when the interior semester, there's always one semester where you have to do interiors. When it came up, I was actually really looking forward to it, and it was totally fun. It's just I don't know. I guess in the end, when it comes down to actually working on the subject, I've just been more passionate about exteriors. That's usual thing for lots of students. But I've never excluded the interior for myself. Actually, when I did an internship later, I did an internship at Volvo, which was officially half interior and half exterior, because they just kind of took me in and said, yeah, we're going to put you here in the interiors, but you can do both if you like. And they totally appreciated that, because of course you learn a lot more if you just look out for different things.
Wow. And then did that help inform which avenue you were going to go into, or were you still then at the point of applying for jobs open to either or?
No, I think during the studies, you kind of drift into one or the other, and you figure out how well you're doing in each particular field.
And find your niche.
Yeah, you find your niche, definitely. And after my studies, I mean, it's pretty easy. If you look through your portfolio, you'll see what kind of direction you're going. And of course, over time, your portfolio fills up with different projects, and they might indicate what kind of niche you want to go, or where you see yourself.
And would you say it's important to have a focus, like orientating to one way in your portfolio?
If you're excellent at anything, then you can apply for anything.
Okay.
I wouldn't have dared to apply for interiors, I guess, because I just didn't do enough, and I don't know, I probably wouldn't have been as good.
Wow.
So at the time, I thought my chance was best in exteriors, and that's also where my passion was at the time. And still is, for now. But I wouldn't exclude it ever.
Do you still find it a creative? Do you still feel a sense of freedom within exteriors?
You mean nowadays exterior design, or?
Yeah, because it's like again, it always surprises me at different stages of as time goes on, when you think you've seen it all, and you go and some people have the opinion that it can be quite formulaic, and that there's a lot more room for innovation in interiors. But that's also there's an argument for that. But I do get surprised all the time.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Well, of course, UX, UI hasn't been there really like 10 years ago, or maybe 15. So of course the field that is growing the most is UI, UX, and then probably interiors when you look at automated driving. So you might be right, or people might be right if they say there's more potential for that. But of course there has to be an exterior, always, and will be. And as long as people are buying cars, or are actually owning cars, and that will be there for some time, I guess, then people will be attracted by the exterior of a car. And that means there has to be attention on this part of a car. But again, I wouldn't limit myself to exteriors only, and I would be happy if the disciplines are kind of melting together more. And that's also where I see the future of being a designer as a job.
There are some companies I've found out, like for example at Ferrari, it's not uncommon to have an exterior designer transition over into interiors, right. And sometimes that you do both. Yeah. And I thought that was really interesting because I've never heard about that before.
Yeah, I think it happens more than you'd think. Maybe not in the largest companies because they have these strict separations and departments. But I think the smaller company is, the more designers have to do pretty much everything, anything.
Okay.
I think it's gonna melt more. I mean, because disciplines are also getting intertwined more, I think.
Well, you were talking about autonomy, and that as long as people are buying cars, there needs to be focus on the exteriors. Would you say that when autonomy comes in and is, car ownership's been reduced substantially, that there would be less effort put into the exteriors?
Depends on the category of cars, I think.
Okay.
Like for example, if you have a car sharing car, like a car that's only purely designed for being shared, then of course the exterior is not going to be so important anymore, because you get closer to like this kind of pod or like a tram or public transport in general. And I don't mind what the train looks like that I'm going in. But as soon as you have a brand that's supposed to communicate what you as a person want to be, or what you want to express, then of course it's an enhancement of your personality. So of course you want to have that look nice, or at least nice to you. So when you buy a Porsche, it's not that you don't care about what kind of images it suggests. Even if it's purely race focused, it has to communicate a lot to the outside world, and that's where the exterior is really important for.
Do you think like that the exterior architecture is going to change a lot? I mean, we always try and do something completely from scratch. We go like as a student exercise anyway. Like hypothetically, if we could put the engine anywhere and try something completely new, and we have batteries that can fit in any kind of compartment or category or whatever, that we can be completely free. But yet even those like a pod, for example, they still seems to be a generic architecture.
Right. Yes and no. I mean, excuse me. I mean, it's going to diversify a lot more, I guess, because there are going to be more cars that are purposely built for a very relatively specific purpose. So you would use one car in one specific scenario and some relatively different architecture in another scenario. And the pod, for example, well, you will always end up at the kind of a pod because it's just the most economic package if you want to just have space on a small footprint. And then you're going to end up at this box. You can't help it. You can maybe cut a corner off or have it look edgy or round, but it's always going to stay a little cube on wheels.
Wow.
So on that account, not so much.
And what, like, about, like, say, let's say 10, maybe 15 years ago, like Toyota and Honda, some of the Japanese companies started doing these, like, personal vehicles where it was, like, just for one person. How do you see that sort of thing being more prominent in cities, especially when we've banned cars from city centers?
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think nobody really knows. There's been a field trial with that last year in Germany and some other places all over the world before, with these street scooters that you can borrow. I'm not sure if that experience is going well. I personally don't really like them, and you can see the downsides of this because they're standing around everywhere, people getting hurt. I'm not sure if it's a great addition. I personally think it's an answer to a question that nobody really asked.
Yeah. Okay.
Because there are so many valid alternatives to that. But and to these pods that you're talking about, like for example, they could be having a roof, which a scooter doesn't have.
Okay.
So it could be a valid addition to a car, or like exchange for a car, replacement for a car. So I do see potential for these micro-mobility solutions, but it's really depending on the infrastructure and also on this legislation, which is a huge problem in Germany usually.
Yeah. I think especially in Germany.
Especially in Germany, absolutely. So we wouldn't be the first ones here to have it. Maybe the last ones.
Lukas, what like getting specific about your craft and your process? What's people say, or designers say all the time, you need to sketch every day. What exactly are you sketching every day? Because there are certain schools that have different methods of teaching, different advice that they give students. And I know I spoke to a student from Art Center, a designer that went to Art Center, and there are certain exercises that they have to do, like, for example, just drawing straight lines, like not all day, but you need to dedicate a certain period of time to be able to do that, to develop your hand-eye coordination and your control. Was there something specific that you started doing that elevated your sketching to another level?
Probably. I never did it that strictly, to be honest. Yeah,
okay.
not really. I can't remember that. But when I started off, of course, there were also lots of advices like that, and there were also books at the time, really solid physical books,
Yeah.
that told you to do stuff like that. Also, ellipse drawing, like this is also a huge chapter.
That's so it's impossible. I mean, for me anyway. I was.
Yeah. There are lots of great techniques to get around to get around drawing ellipses, but no, I've never really practiced for the sake of practicing. Only if you have a certain passion for it, you will do it once in a while automatically, and of course during the studies you get boosted a lot because you just have to do it. Especially in Pforzheim, they value it a lot, which I think is right. So you get into a certain you have a certain level after that, which is your base, and then at the job it really depends because I myself I don't sketch every day. It just depends on the phase in the project. In the sketching phase, in a really early stage, you might sketch a lot, and but if you've done a clay model before then for the last couple of months.
Nothing.
You might feel like where has all my power gone?
Yeah,
where have my skills gone?
Yeah.
I don't know how to draw a car. Man, they will notice and kick me out here.
Yes.
Because you just lose it after a couple of months. But then, surprisingly, you get back to it. After
But then, like at school, for example, did you have drawing classes that really helped you significantly, or was it more a case of like people pushing each other and you putting that internal pressure on yourself to just work out how to get better than X, Y, and Z?
Yeah, bit of both, I guess. First thing that comes into my mind was figure drawing, which was amazing.
Okay.
It really helped me out. I really liked it because it's such a different type of drawing than sketching a car, like constructing a car with like basically architecture and perspective. This is one thing, but drawing a human figure from life is something completely different. It really loosens you up, and it's not about the cross-hatching or whatever.
Right.
It's so much more about getting loose and feeling the paper, feeling the weight of the pencil. It's a completely different style, and that really helped me out a lot because it also showed me that you don't have to sketch a car like other people, like with cross-hatch or whatever, with these clear brush strokes. But you can maybe also sounds maybe a bit poetic, but you can also like kind of sculpt the car on the paper.
Be more expressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I never had this distinctive sketching style, really.
How did you get that sort of insight? Because I mean, I guess there's a lot more information about now, and obviously visual information. So you see, okay, this guy's quite a well-known designer, and he's putting all these sketches out on Instagram, and that kind of breaks the rules, so to speak. But you obviously had that realization before all the shit was there. So how did you have the confidence to know, like, I can kind of have a more expressive style?
I think it was really helpful that there wasn't so much visual disturbances around.
Okay.
Like I call it visual disturbances now, but let's say there wasn't so much influence around.
Okay.
You could see what the other guys were doing at the school, but and you could maybe every 6 months you could check out on Car Design News what the latest degree show in let's say Art Center came up with. Yeah. But other than that, there were not so many sketches around. There was SimCom, which is still a great site. I'm not sure if Marek is still active. I think for now he's not. But that was this go-to page for nice sketches at the time. Other than that, there were not so many sketches around, so you weren't influenced so much, I would say, and you had more chance to figure out yourself what you thought was cool.
Right, interesting. I just like, because there wasn't a lot around when I was at university, you know, we would get these like, this is how you need to illustrate a car, and you need to create it with one perfect line, and you need to have this specific line weight, and your ellipse needs to be perfect. And like, it felt to me at times where like you needed to follow this exact perfect, it was like a I don't know, like a draft, like an architectural draft, you know, like a blueprint almost.
Right.
And because it was impossible, like you kind of at times feel like you're failing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think, and I know what you're saying, but I think Pforzheim, for us at least, was the complete opposite, because we were like left out in the open sketch-wise.
Okay.
We had these, in the second semester we have this weekly tasks.
Okay.
So you get a new task, a drawing task every week, and then after 1 week you go through, have a wall of sketches, and you show your mates and the supervisor what you did.
Okay.
Which is great, because you get to sketch a lot, and you kind of find your way and your style, and you realize what your disciplines might be, like your sketching disciplines, if you like, I don't know, ball pen, or pencil, stuff like that. So this early stages of getting into drawing, that's really important. And what's even more important, I think, is the kind of semester that you're in, because those guys, you're with them pretty much 24/7, because you meet at school, you sketch with them, because everybody has to fill up their walls, and you become friends, hopefully, not too much just opponents.
Yes, yeah.
And that definitely taught me the most. And I had the big luck of being in a semester that was really diverse in sketching styles and personalities.
Okay.
And that helped me out so much.
Okay.
That's really, really valuable.
Brilliant. And then, and what about 3D development? Did you guys do a clay? You guys do a clay semester, or a clay project at least?
Yeah.
And digital as well.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think the structure is still pretty much the same. So first 2 semesters are just about base and lots of theory, which is also really helpful. Not only design theory, but also other topics that are super interesting, in my opinion. But at the time, most people just want to sketch. They want to get into...
Not interested in 3D?
No. First 2 semesters, not at all. No 3D.
Okay.
And then I think in the 3rd semester is the first time, so after 1 year, it's the first time you get into CAD.
Okay.
Alias still.
Was that something that felt like a hindrance to you, or were you looking forward to that?
I was looking forward to it, because it's just this unknown territory. You want to know what's the stuff about, right?
Yeah.
You want to build something. It's nice. It's still nice. But at the same time, of course, it's tough. I mean, you have to get into the 3D modeling thinking first. That was hard for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
Into this, okay, I have this idea about a shape. How am I going to do it in Alias? What do I start with? It's not logical at first, but as soon as you get into this logic, it's really logical, of course.
Okay.
But I was kind of afraid of that too, and it took me long to get into it.
Okay.
I'm still not a great modeler.
Okay, but at least it teaches you how to translate what's on paper into 3D, and then as a result, communicating that idea to somebody that would build it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you learn a lot, actually. Also, what I always said was, basically, if you're just sketching, you can basically sketch anything, as you might know. Then when you get into modeling in this first modeling semester, in the end you have to produce shots, like renderings of that car. Mm-hmm. So you can choose the perspectives in which the car looks great.
Right.
And then after that, in the fourth semester, you have to build a clay model. The clay model in the end is going to be at the show, so you can look at it from 360 degrees, obviously.
Okay.
And then the whole model has to work. So you cannot choose and pick the nicest perspectives.
Okay.
So it gets more and more tough, because you come up with a design, develop it so far that it kind of looks nice from every angle, and that's what the reality is in the end.
Did you enjoy the clay process?
I think I hated it.
Really?
At the time, yes, because it's so fucking hard.
Yeah, it is fucking hard.
It is really hard, and especially as a student, at least I didn't really understand what I was doing. I would say.
How surfaces are constructed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have no idea, and you just realize, okay, it looks somehow wrong, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
I can't really put my finger on it, why it looks bad. And
those are almost two separate things, aren't they?
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
the surface construction, and then also like, okay, there's a volume there,
exactly.
but like what's not working?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So especially Alias is just about the surface. And suddenly you're working with volumes and you're taking something off, and suddenly it looks really different from a different perspective. And what have I done? So it's super interesting, and there's so much cold water that you're just jumping into every day when you're sketching on your clay model, because you have to understand this material and you have to understand volume, even though you don't think about it, but subconsciously you're learning a lot about volume and proportions.
Okay.
It's super tough while you're on it, but it's absolutely helpful.
And what about your process now? Are you do you make a sketch model in Alias, or do you just present sketches to the modeler and then communicate?
Well, it's a shift right now. We have the luck, or we're really lucky, and at the same time, it's a shame we have two really good modelers right in our team. So whenever we do a sketch, it's relatively easy to have them transfer it into a rough Maya model super quickly. And of course, we as designers, we have no chance of competing with that speed. So we're blessed to have them. It's super nice to work with them. They're great guys, but of course, it doesn't make us want to learn as well. As long as we have them, it's a luxury. But right now, it's about to change. We're changing into also building like quick models ourselves. We're still undecided between NURBS and Maya, but mostly it's going to be Maya or Blender to come up with a rough model. Yes, that can be tremendously helpful.
Yeah, especially with proportions specifically.
Absolutely,
and setting up like where you want everything to sit, or how you want the cabin to sit on the volume, for example. Yeah,
you can change it extremely quickly, and you can go through with your manager, for example, and show him, okay, is this more or less what you expect, let's say, and it's definitely easier to change than the full-scale clay model.
Okay, and what something else I wanted to ask you about is like are you primarily doing concept stuff? Are you involved more at the advanced stage of the design process, or production, or both?
Actually, it's both.
Okay.
Which is really nice, which I enjoy a lot, and I knew about that before. And that was a big part of being interested in this kind of job, because it's a whole bandwidth of different projects that we're doing.
Okay.
So it could be, I don't know, like portfolio studies, but it also could be a normal competition for a production car, or a show car, and it's lots of different projects.
And do you have a preference for one or the other, or you like that you kind of do a bit of everything?
Everything gets being a pain after a while. Whatever you do, after a while, you just want to do something different, because you get fed up with the processes, and it's perfectly normal, I guess.
Yeah.
That's why the bandwidth or the variation is really nice.
Okay.
I couldn't say what I like the most. Every discipline has their own pros and cons.
Okay.
Maybe a bit boring answer, but.
And Lukas, what the last thing I wanted to speak to you about is like generally like how important you think it is to carry yourself in a particular way, in terms of your personality, in terms of the image that you want to put out to your colleagues and management and stuff like that? Or is that something that you don't really think about? Do you feel that, you know, my work speaks for me, and that's kind of the most important thing?
Well, in the studio, definitely, first of all, your work speaks for you. That's true, especially when you're starting off. You're starting off as basically the smallest guy. So what is your chance? The only chance to convince people is to put out good work on a continuous basis, on a regular basis, I think. So yeah, first of all, of course, producing good work. Other than that, I don't know. I mean, try to be a decent human.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what you. Yeah, that's yeah. That basically sums it up really well.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, dude, on that bombshell, that was mega. It was really nice to meet you.
Absolutely.
And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Cool. Klaus, thank you very much, dude.